All right, let's talk about that sound. You know the one, that crazy, high-voltage, frantic opening to AC/DC's Thunderstruck. It's one of the most iconic and, let's be real, one of the most intimidating sounds in all of rock music. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how it's done.
And you know what? That is not an exaggeration. This is the ultimate guitar party trick. It's the one riff that makes people who don't play guitar stare at you like you're some kind of wizard. And if you stick with me, that's the promise here.
Now, I'm willing to bet that just about every guitarist, when they first hear this riff, has the exact same thought. Nope, no way, I could never play that. It just sounds too fast, too complicated, completely out of reach.
Right? It's like lightning crackling down a single guitar string, a machine gun of notes, all perfectly locked in rhythm. It feels like you'd need some kind of superhuman speed to even attempt it. But here's the secret. It's not at all what it seems.
Okay, so the most important thing to get is that this riff is a brilliant illusion. It's a magic trick, and it's designed to sound impossible. But, like any good magic trick, once you know the secret, the impossible suddenly becomes very, very achievable.
What if the real trick wasn't about being inhumanly fast? What if it was actually about being incredibly efficient? What if the secret wasn't picking every single one of those notes, but using a clever technique that does most of the heavy lifting for you?
This really gets to the heart of the magician's secret. The illusion you hear is thousands of picked notes played at lightning speed, probably all over the neck. But the reality? It's so much simpler. It's actually minimal picking, a very efficient hand motion, and it all happens on pretty much one string. This is what takes the riff from a, no way, that's a 10 out of 10 difficulty, down to maybe a 6. But the sound you get, that stays a solid 10.
And the secret weapon that makes all of this possible is a technique called legato. This is where your fretting hand, the one on the neck of the guitar, does almost all the work. You use hammer-ons, which is just tapping a finger down to make a sound, and pull-offs, where you kind of pluck the string by pulling a finger off. Your picking hand? It barely has to do a thing. It just creates this constant blur of sound while your other hand does all the fancy work. That's the illusion of speed.
Okay, enough theory, let's actually build this thing. The way you tackle a seemingly impossible riff is by not tackling the whole thing at once. We're going to break it down into tiny, bite-sized pieces. So here's the riff's DNA. That long, scary sequence of notes is really just a few small patterns that are stitched together and repeated. We're going to use what I call micro-chunking to learn them one at a time. It's just like putting together a puzzle.
For right now, this is your entire world. Forget about the rest of the song, forget about everything else. We are only focused on this one little chunk of notes. That is it, just these 7 notes.
And we can break it down even smaller to get our first micro win. So first, anchor your index finger on the 12th fret. That's your home base. Step 2 is the actual move. You play the 12th, then pull off to the 10th, then pull off to the 9th. That's the whole motion. Now for step 3, you just repeat that tiny pattern. 12-10-9, 12-10-9. The second you get that little loop clean, you get this jolt of excitement because it suddenly sounds exactly like the song. Now look, as you practice, it's gonna feel awkward. Your fingers are not going to want to cooperate. But just remember this, every single time you play that little loop cleanly, you are literally rewiring your brain and building muscle memory. That weird, clumsy feeling, that's a good thing. That's what learning a new skill feels like. So embrace it. All right, you've built the first link in the chain. Now we're gonna forge the rest of it. Once you have that first piece down, the rest is just connecting the other links. You've already done the hardest part, which is just getting started.
So here they are, all the building blocks. That whole massive riff is just these 3 little chunks. You've got chunk A, which is that 12-10-9 pattern we just started. Then you have chunk B, a simple little pattern. And finally, chunk C, which is even easier. That's the entire roadmap. It's not so scary when you see it all laid out like this, is it?
So you start by just mastering chunk A. Play it slow, play it clean, over and over and over. Get into a rhythm with it. Make it feel so automatic that your brain actually gets a little bored.
Once chunk A feels totally comfortable, you add the next link. You practice that transition from the end of A to the very beginning of B. This is the crucial moment. You're training your hand to make that jump, and the only way to do it right is to keep it slow and clean. Do not rush the connection between these two pieces. And then finally, you connect that last piece, and now you have the entire pattern. And here's the best part.
Even if you play this full chain at half speed, it will still sound exactly like Thunderstruck. The identity of the riff is in the pattern, not just the speed.
This might be the most important piece of advice I can give you. Do not chase speed. It's a trap. Instead, chase clean, perfect, almost robotic repetition. Speed is a byproduct of accuracy. It'll just sneak in all by itself once your brain has the pattern so locked in that it gets bored playing it slowly.
Okay, now we get to the best part, unleashing the thunder. Because learning this riff isn't just about memorizing a bunch of notes, it's really about a transformation in your identity as a guitar player.
After you've stitched these pieces together and you can play it, you're not the same guitarist you were before. You've unlocked a whole new level. So, what did you just become?
You've become the person who can play Thunderstruck. You now have a legendary riff in your arsenal. You have a party trick you can pull out for the rest of your life. And more than that, your finger coordination, your timing, they've permanently leveled up. Other riffs that used to seem hard will now feel easier. You've cracked the code. You are the wizard.
So the next time you practice this riff, I want you to remember what you're really playing. It is so much more than just a pattern of frets. You didn't just learn a sequence of notes. You learned the sound of the lights going down in an arena. You learned the sound of a storm charging up. You learned the sound of a stadium waking up.